Avatar: The Last Airbender. We all know it, and considering that you've clicked on this video, I'm gonna assume that you've watched it and know how great the show is. For me, I can't pinpoint one thing that the show nails. It nails almost everything. People love the show for various reasons. The extremely consistent magic system, its brilliant narrative, and for me, mostly, its convincing characters. Aang, Iroh, Katara, Toph, Sokka, and especially Zuko all felt unique in their own ways without overshadowing each other. Sokka served as a comic relief to the show that always had creative jokes without coming across as annoying, something that The Legend of Korra couldn't even do. Toph was an excellent addition to the group with her interesting character dynamic with Katara and great line delivery. The show also introduced me to my favorite character in any piece of writing, the epitome of a perfect character. Appa baby, let's go! 11 out of 10, would pet again. Yeah, no, it's Zuko. With all that praise, you might be asking, well, what's the title about? The finale of Avatar left me unsatisfied in a way. It left me wanting more. The battle between Aang and Ozai wasn't what I would call deserving of Avatar status. Avatar had a lasting impact on me that I can't necessarily describe in words. When something is only good, I think about it for a while, but then eventually forget about it. But when something is great, I can't help but criticize its shortcomings out of love for what it did accomplish. After all of it though, I still had some problems with the show, and well, seeing that I probably have the unpopular opinion of everyone, I will try to explain why the ending of Avatar: The Last Airbender felt so empty. Disclaimer, I haven't watched Legend of Korra all the way through. I watched the second season, and I wanted to barf. And this is also my opinion, and it's 100% correct, so you should definitely not doubt it, and give your opinions on it. I want to preface this before talking about the final battle. I generally disliked the last season of Avatar. I expected a lot of things from it, but I received very little. It didn't live up to the bar that season 2 had put up for it, but I mean, nothing can dethrone the amazingness of episodes like Zuko alone. There was just too much filler and uninteresting plotlines that didn't move the story forward. The second episode of the season is the gang going to a Fire Nation school for no other reason than to goof around. I get it's supposed to show the innocence of the Fire Nation children and that they weren't inherently evil, like what Jojo Rabbit did with its depiction of the German children in World War II that were misled to think that Germans were superior. But it felt jarring after the emotional finale of the second season, coming off the back of Aang's realization that he had failed to protect his friends again. There are more episodes like this that were just filler. The Painted Lady, The Runaway. This season also has what I like to call the stupidest character in the show. Combustion Man. He doesn't talk, he has a third eye on his forehead that sends out beams of light that explode on impact. He's just a plot device used for cheap tension that in the end adds absolutely nothing to the story. But on the other hand, there were also some top level episodes, like The Puppet Master, a story of a northern waterbender forced to use bloodbending to escape her imprisonment. But these rare episodes back to form were few and far between. It stunted my enjoyment of the show, but I held on to hope that maybe, just maybe, I could get the finale I wanted.
Where's the lamb sauce?
Come on, man.
I just need a...
This is the lamb.
Where's the lamb sauce?
In Sozin's Comet, Part 1, The Phoenix King, at the beginning of the episode, we find out that Aang actually doesn't want to face the Fire Lord when Sozin Comet arrives. But Zuko informs him that if Aang doesn't stop Fire Lord Ozai before Sozin's Comet, the entirety of the Earth Nation and the people in it will be burned down. These few minutes of build-up before things get juicy are great at setting up Aang and Ozai's face-off. It establishes a few key points for the final battle's conclusion and also sets up Aang's emotional state going into it. The first point it sets up is Aang's weakness, or rather something that he has struggled with throughout the story. His weakness is his reluctance to take on the mantle of the Avatar bestowed upon him and face his problems head on and not run away. Like, you know, when he just pieces out for 100 years, which lets the Fire Nation take over the world. His weakness comes back even now when Aang says that he doesn't want to face Ozai before the comet has passed, as he feels as if he is not ready to face him. The only way to overcome his weakness is to let go of what happened in the past as the consequence of his actions and move on. Another point of the finale this build-up provides is a look into Aang's moral conflict. A moral conflict is a clash of two moral ideas that a character goes between throughout the story, and has to resolve at the end of the journey. Aang's moral conflict is his reluctance to kill the Fire Lord, even though it seems like the right decision. His monks before him taught him that no life should be taken away, even if it is something as evil as the Fire Lord. The last thing this build-up provides is Aang's moral obligation to save the world and the stakes that come with it. If Aang fails, then every Earthbender will be eliminated. His weakness and moral conflict must be resolved in some way. Remember this for later. Aang, desperate to find a way to stop the Fire Lord without killing him, has come out unfruitful with no way of solving his moral conflict.
No, get the camera! Money!
What happens next is my actual first gripe was the finale. In the middle of the night, an island finds its way to Aang. Aang then sleep swims? He swims to the island for absolutely no reason at all, and it does not get explained either. It just so happens that there was an island and Aang wants to go to the island. What the writers are doing here is just conveniently putting Aang in the place where the plot is happening. This is just lazy writing. Aang wakes up on the island. He isn't in the spirit world and he isn't in a place where he can bend either. There also doesn't seem to be any place off it. After a while, he begins to realize that he can ask the avatars before him for wisdom on what to do. He asks Avatar Roku, Avatar Kyoshi, and the water avatar, which I forgot the name of, but they all didn't give him the answer that he wanted. They all say that there is no way to stop Ozai without killing him. He then asks for an air monk avatar.
I am Avatar Yang Chen, young airbender.
Avatar Yang Chen. The monks always taught me that all life is sacred, even the life of the tiniest spider fly caught in its own web.
Yes, all life is sacred.
I know, I'm even a vegetarian. I've always tried to solve my problems by being quick or clever, and I've only had to use violence for necessary defense. And I've certainly never used it to take a life.
Avatar Aang, I know that you're a gentle spirit, and the monks have taught you well. But this isn't about you. This is about the world.
But the monks taught me that I had to detach myself from the world so my spirit could be free.
Many great and wise air nomads have detached themselves and achieved spiritual enlightenment. But the Avatar can never do it. Because your sole duty is to the world. Here is my wisdom for you. Selfless duty calls you to sacrifice your own spiritual needs and do whatever it takes to protect the world.
She's basically saying, in order to save the world, Aang must sacrifice his own wants. That statement is a turning point in Aang's development as a character. It challenges his moral conflict in a way that makes him begin to believe that there truly is no way to stop Ozai without overriding his moral compass. Or, in monkey terms, if Aang kill Ozai, Aang no feel good. He begins to believe that there is no third option. This makes us root for him even more as we want him to persevere, even though everyone is saying he can't. Nothing makes an audience more giddy than making an impossible problem possible. But what happens next completely throws all this character build-up away for a cheap solution. It is revealed to us that Aang was actually on a giant lion turtle that can talk telepathically to Aang, even though there has been no creature that has shown to be able to talk in the real world, let alone telepathically. But that's beside the point. This, by itself, is fine. I can get past the show breaking its own in-universe rules, as it isn't a big plot point. I like when Avatar gets wacky, and this does make sense in a way. My real problem comes after this, when Aang asks the lion turtle for advice on how to stop the Fire Lord. The lion turtle, get ready for this, begins to talk about some weird philosophical mumbo jumbo and touches Aang. It's not explained at that moment, but the lion turtle touching Aang's forehead gives Aang the power to take away bending forever. Okay. What? Nothing, just do an explosion. Okay. This conveniently solves all of Aang's problems and resolves his moral conflict. He can now stop the Fire Lord without killing him. He obtains this power not through build-up, not through his own hardships, but through a random lion turtle that Aang, while sleeping, swam to, which then touched his forehead and gave him the power to take away bending. This is wrong on so many levels. These coincidences on top of coincidences that progress the story farther with no clear explanation are commonly known as Deus Ex Machinas. In a perfect movie, there would be zero Deus Ex Machinas, but it is sometimes necessary. Like in Avengers Endgame, Tony Stark figures out how to time travel in less than a minute. Pretty convenient if you ask me, but it is necessary to progress the story. If the whole movie was about figuring out time travel, then it will be boring and bloated, and that wasn't the aim of the movie. In some scenarios, Deus Ex Machinas are needed so that the pacing of a story isn't destroyed, but a Deus Ex Machina can only be acceptable to progress the story and cannot occur to resolve a character's internal struggle or any other character conflict for that matter. The character's internal struggle should be explored throughout the story, and that character should go back and forth with itself without having a clear solution until the end of the story. Let's take Darth Vader for example. He constantly goes back and forth in the first half of Return of the Jedi on whether or not he should kill Luke, his only son and the only remnant of him that is good. At the end of the movie, when Luke is getting electrocuted by Palpatine, we see Vader finally realize that he can't bear to witness the death of his own son. He picks up Palpatine and throws him into the abyss. He resolves his internal conflict by saving Luke. He doesn't do this because a lion turtle showed him how to do it. He does this because it was the natural progression of his character, and it was achieved organically through his own actions. Aang goes through all these steps. Aang is conflicted on whether or not he should kill, which would go against his moral compass. His friends and even the other avatars are saying that he should kill the Fire Lord, and that moral dilemma he's faced with grows as the final battle approaches. But then, that character build-up is ruined by the presence of the lion turtle. The writers throw all that away for a simpler way to finish the show. It was on the verge of greatness. Imagine a finale where Aang doesn't know what to do and faces the Fire Lord. He fights back and forth with himself on what to do during the battle until finally figuring out a way through his own hardships and struggles on how to stop Ozai without killing him. This isn't even the last Deus Ex Machina that we will see in this finale.
Have you ever had a dream that
Final battles are the culmination of story threads, character journeys, and the end of a conflict. This is the time where the stakes are at their highest and the story reaches its climax. A good finale always combines these story elements in a satisfactory way that doesn't leave anything important on a cliffhanger. Aang sits atop a pillar, awaiting for the battle he was destined to fight. The population of an entire nation is on the line. The battle we have been waiting for the entire show. Credit where credit is due, this shot is truly jaw-dropping. It establishes Ozai's true power and the threat that he poses to Aang. The sheer enormous flames coming out of him, almost making Aang look small and puny in comparison. A clever visualization of the odds Aang is truly up against. Okay, positives first. This fight scene between Ozai and Aang, visually, is really amazing. I can't justify it with my words. This is also one of the best choreographed scenes in the entire series. The use of all the skills Aang has learned throughout the story pay off, and they lead to even cooler set pieces. It uses the environment as tools for more unique scenarios, like when Aang uses the waterfall as a way to counteract the blast from Ozai, or the time he created a suit made of rock to counteract Ozai's fire. The environment leads to a more core understanding of the background around the characters and leads to more exciting fights instead of just being backdrops to a 1v1 Roblox sword battle. If someone were to watch this, void of anything story related, they would be in awe. Props to the animation team for visualizing such grandiose scenes. The fight begins going back and forth between Aang and Ozai, each coming up with new moves to counteract each other's attacks. The spectacle of the feud giving us visual eye candy to grasp onto. Until this moment, Aang has the chance to end it all, to kill Ozai, but he doesn't, and this moment, when it should feel like Aang's moral conflict to kill Ozai is still present, feels empty to me. But here's the thing though, at this point in the story, we didn't know that the lion turtle gave Aang the power to take away bending, so this scene would still work on a first time viewing. But with the knowledge and foresight of finishing the show, it takes away from the emotional impact that it had on the first viewing. Think about it. If Aang already knew how to stop Ozai without killing him, then why does he still act as if he doesn't know what to do in this situation? It does not line up with just common thinking. The battle moves on, and Aang is getting absolutely battered, like destroyed. Ozai taunts Aang by the things that have happened in the past due to Aang's absence and his cowardice to take on the mantle of the Avatar. He is too scared to face his problems head on and would rather run away.
You're weak, just like the rest of your people. They did not deserve to exist in this world, in my world. Prepare to join them. Prepare to die!
This would have been a great place for Aang to overcome his weakness and fight Ozai with full confidence in his ability and not to back off. What happens next is the second stupidest thing I've ever witnessed. A rock hits Aang in the back where he got hit by Azula and somehow gains the ability to go into the Avatar state. This is the second Deus Ex Machina. After this moment, all tension is lost in the battle. Aang completely destroys Ozai and flings him like a doll. You know why I liked Aang not being able to go into the Avatar state at the beginning of the fight? Because he couldn't just have an instant win button that would suck all the tension out of the scene. And Aang doesn't gain this power back because he overcame his weakness, but because a random rock hit his back. Imagine if the rock wasn't there. Then Aang wouldn't have been able to go into the Avatar state, which would let Ozai kill him and win. So basically, the world was saved by this rock. Do you see where I have a problem with this?
Actually really quite simple. And I know all of you hate it when I say that.
You know what, writers? I'm gonna fix this scene by myself. I did say that Aang has three things that make him interesting. His weakness, his moral obligation, and his moral conflict. All these things have to be resolved in this finale in order for it to have a satisfying ending. But his weakness hasn't been resolved yet, and he doesn't learn to face Ozai with full confidence. The only reason he has fought Ozai up to this point is because of his moral obligation. He has to face him no matter what, but in his own head, he is still scared at the thought of fighting Ozai. What if instead of the rock triggering his Avatar state, what if it was himself? Like before, imagine at that moment Ozai was taunting him. Aang has a flashback to his mentor, Gyatso, and his dead body. He imagines his friends dying because he was too scared to do anything. He reconciles with himself and begins to let go of the mistakes of the past. He realizes that running away is not the only option, but is to face his tormentor head on. His self-revelation would coincide with the Avatar state, and he would gain it not through a rock, but through his own self-rebirth. Bing bang boom, we have a way for Aang to beat his weakness and fulfill his psychological need without needing to use a Deus Ex Machina. Even after everything, after every little nitpick I have with the show, I still cannot deny that this shot is amazing. The visual manifestation of light versus dark, good versus evil, and damn, does it look good. The music heightens everything to an even amazing extent. Now let's rewind for a moment and see what led us to this moment. Aang, mysteriously, in his sleep, swims to an island that is actually an old lion turtle that gave him the power to take away bending forever, previously never to be shown before. He then faces Ozai and gets absolutely battered, and then gets hit by a rock in his back, and then gains an instant win button which sucks out all the tension. Aang did not learn anything. He just got extremely lucky without putting any work in at all. I think this shot would have been the perfect ending to the show if the rest of it was just a bit better executed. It's just so frustrating to see such an amazing show end like this. I know that I'm in the very puny minority in disliking the ending of Avatar, but I don't care. If you liked it, more power to you. But it can't get over the glaring issues this ending has, and for that, I can't enjoy it as much as I would want to. If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button and punch the like button to see more content like this. Most of the people working on this channel are away for vacation at the moment, but be rest assured that we will keep up with our upload schedule. But for now, peace.